Good morning, students. A very hearty welcome to GC Tech Hub CS tutorials. In today's lecture, we are going to just continue from where we had stopped in the last class because we were discussing MySQL and its various commands. We had already discussed the various data types in it. So today we are just going to proceed with our discussion and learn a few more things related to creating a database and creating tables. So let's move on to today's class. So we will be learning how to create a new database. So creating a new database is very easy. We'll just see how we can create a new database. We will use a create database command to do that. So as we know that databases are already a collection of multiple tables. So here we need to first create a database which will collect all the related tables. So its syntax is create database and database name. Usage create database and we can just give any name to the database, for example school DB or hospital DB, or you can just provide your name also, but instead of providing the name it is a good idea to provide the name of the database, or just give use one such name which will represent your database and its content. So we create the database, and once we create the database we also need to use the database. So its syntax is use database name. Usage use. So we need to also use the database. So here we create the database and here we use the database. So let us try this out on our MySQL command line client. So first of all I am using the uh, command show databases to just check the various databases which are already there. And now I'm going to create the database. Create database school DB. So the database has been created. If you now check the catalog, you will find that school DB is already there in the group of databases. We just need to use that. So now the database has been changed to school DB. So whatever operation now, if we do it, we will be doing it in our school DB database. For example, you can see another name has been used over here, WebDB, and use WebDB. Next is once we have selected the database, we can view all the database tables which are there. So because this is a database we just created, it doesn't contain any table, so you will not find any table here, but you can use this show tables command to display the tables which are already there. Suppose I change the database to some other database and use the show tables command, you will be able to see the tables in this fashion. So I'm just changing it again to school DB because school DB doesn't have any tables as such, so that is why it returns an empty set. Now some table basics. A table is an object. Database data is stored in tables. Each table has a unique name. Columns have various attributes such as column name and data type. Rows contain records or data for the columns. For example, you can see it over here. This is a sample table named weather, and here we can find these are the columns or the attributes, that is city, state, high, low, and city and all the city names they together make a column, and these are the records, that is Phoenix, Arizona 105, 90. So likewise, these are the tuples or the records within the table, and this is the top header row. This is the table which we saw, and its various parts also we have discussed over here. Now we will start with creating tables. So how to create a table? As you can see its syntax over here: create table, table name, column name, data type, column name, second column, third column. So we are going to here we can see that create table, this word create and this word table, these are both keywords, and this table name is a user defined name. Column name is the name of the field and data type is the data type to be used, and this is an error, students. We are not going to provide any comma in between. So I will just write it in a proper way here. Create table, table name, starting with a round bracket, that is parenthesis, column name 1 and its data type, and if possible its size, that is size is usually optional. Then column name 2, its data type and its size, and this way we can have any number of columns, we can have n number of columns. And close and a semicolon after this. So this is the syntax for creating table. As an example, we are going to create the table weather which we just saw some time ago. So this is the table here, and we'll try to create the same table. As you can see, the name of the table is weather. So we are going to use it as the table name. And here we have certain fields. So there is one field city, state is the second one. So this way we have four fields over here, and looking at city you can feel that its data type is textual. So we will usually use varchar over here because names of cities can vary. Some cities could have a short name and some cities, as you can see here, have a larger name. There is considerable difference between the size of the names of cities. So instead of using char, we will be using varchar because varchar reduces wastage of space. Similarly, state can also be taken as varchar. High is usually numeric, so we will try to take a small int over here because its range is somewhat uh, lesser as compared to, I mean, small int's range is quite uh, suitable over here. We'll just go back to that slide where we can see the sizes of integers. So here we have the size of integers, as you can see here. So small int has, I mean, you can see its range. It accepts numbers within this range from -32768 to 32767, and it's we can easily use that in our program. So small int is quite suitable for high and low. So now we'll write here create table. The table name is weather, so I am writing it like this, weather. And first is city, its data type varchar, and because varchar is there we need to provide the maximum size. So let's take the maximum size as 25. Even if the name of the city is very small, so that space could be saved, it won't be wasted. Next is state, next is high, then low, so this is the uh, example of create table which we will now be creating in MySQL. So I'm going to first open MySQL command line prompt. By going to properties, you can increase the size of the window. So I've increased its size. The password on my system is 1234. You might also have set some password when you have tried to install it on your computer. So right now, first I will check the databases because we had already created the database and we are going to use the SchoolDB database which we had created earlier, and I'll write use SchoolDB. So now the database has been set to SchoolDB. Now let's create the table. Create table weather, and see I can move on to the next line and just type the first field name over here which is city. City varchar 25, state varchar again 25, then we have high small int. Now because small int already has a fixed size, so we don't need to provide the size for it. Same way low, and here we close it, put a semicolon and press enter, and it gave me a message query okay, that is the table has been created successfully. Now instead of typing everything here, because you can see that here when you are typing the commands on or the query on separate lines, once you change, press enter and move on to the next line, you can't go back to the previous line. So it doesn't allow us to save the changes in the table, make changes or edit the previous line. So the best thing which we can do is to keep notepad open or any editor open, type the entire query there and then to paste it over here, which we will be doing from the next query onwards. So let us first check the table structure using DESC table name. So DESC is a command which is used to check the schema of the table, that is structure of the table. So we can see field, the data type here, whether any field has been allowed to accept null values. So all the fields have been allowed to accept null values here. We have not specified any key here. Default values are not given and no extra information as such is given here. So now we would start with entering the records in the table. So let's move on to the next one. As you can see over here, this is another example of creating tables where we are creating the table named employee. And here you can see the various fields of employees, the first name, last name, age, address, city, state. So these are all the fields of the table employee. Some table creation rules. Table and column names must start with a letter. That is, they have to start with an alphabet. They cannot exceed 30 characters. They cannot be keywords such as create, insert, select, etc. So these are some of the rules, naming rules for tables and column names. which are almost similar to the identifier rules or identifier creation rules in Python. And you can have digits within the table names or column names, but you cannot start the name with a digit. Now next is table constraints. What are constraints? Constraints are rules applied on the type of data in a table. So constraints are usually types of limitations which we apply on a table. We can say they are limitations or restrictions applied on either any particular field or two or more fields in a table. The question arises, why do we need to apply restrictions or limitations on a table? The reason is usually data entry operator is the person who is responsible for entering data into our tables. Normally, you might have seen that in many companies they have receptionists or data entry operators who are sometimes also students who have not yet passed the school. So they are students who have barely stepped into high school and they are still continuing their education. They have basic typing knowledge, that's all. They don't have the technical knowledge which is required for managing a database. So we cannot expect any type of expertise from them when it comes to entering data. It is quite possible that they will commit mistakes in entering data, and it is quite possible that they would commit silly mistakes, but those silly mistakes could take the form of a very larger mistake later on. Like, I'll give you an example. If we have a salary field, suppose there is an employee Amit, and Amit is a manager in the sales department. So instead of entering where the data entry operator had to enter his salary as 50,000, he just entered it as 50. Can you imagine a manager working in a department getting 50 rupees as the salary? So this is what, although syntactically or programmatically it is not wrong, it is still a numeric value which has been entered in salary, but logically it is not correct at all. So for this, now the thing is we cannot apply too much of restrictions, but we can at least try to filter down on some of the things. It also happens that these data entry operators, they work for long hours at a stretch. So at times they get tired, they may suffer from fatigue, because of which they might start committing mistakes towards the end of the day. So instead of entering 50,000, he might only enter 50 and press enter and move on to the next line. Or he gets a call from somewhere and in a hurry he presses the enter key. So these things are quite possible. So what we can do is we can apply a restriction that the minimum acceptable value in the salary field should be at least 5,000 as the salary. That is, the employee who gets the lowest salary gets 5,000 as the salary. So if we apply this kind of a restriction, then at least this kind of an error won't be there. That is, if he enters 50 and he presses enter, he would quickly get an error message, and he would be quite alert, he will become alert, and and this would not allow, this restriction or constraint would not save any data in the data for save that particular record. So next time the data entry operator would be alerted, and he would be he would take care to make sure that he doesn't commit that mistake once again. So these constraints or limitations, they also help in uh, increasing the vigility of the data entry operator, so that they are always alert and they don't commit mistakes like this. Uh, some other examples are like date of birth and date of joining. Now, usually a person who is working in a company might set a restriction that not less than 14 or 15 years old people can work in the company. So it is like at least the person should be 15 years old or 18 years old to join the company. Now, it might happen that somebody enters date of birth, date of joining as uh, say 15th December 2018, and the date of birth entered is 18th January 2020, which is a kind of a very inconsistent situation. So, because the year 2020 was going on, or we have started with 2021 by mistake, sometimes people go with the flow and they might enter 2021. So, that is what again an error. So, here the thing is we can put a restriction that date of birth should at least be, or date of joining should be equal to or greater than or equal to 15 years plus the date of birth. Date of joining should exceed date of birth by 15 years at least. So this way, if I have applied this constraint or limitation on my table, so what will happen if the conditions are not perfect? That is, if the data entry operator has entered the wrong value for either of the fields, that particular record will not be saved. So constraints or limitations are certain restrictions which also are known as validations in MS Access and MS Excel. So they come under data validation. So this is exactly what we are going to do now. So they are rules applied on the type of data in a table. We can specify the limit on the type of data that can be stored in a particular column in a table using constraints. Some available constraints are not null, unique, primary key, foreign key, check, and default. With constraints, format of create table if you were to use optional constraints, create table, table name, table column 1, data type, and the constraint has to be provided. So this is the structure, or this is the syntax of providing constraints in a table. So you can see that column, data type, and its constraint has to be provided, although it is an optional part. It is not necessary that you have to provide constraints in your table. You can also leave it just like that, or but if you have to, if you feel like you want to impose a little bit more restriction on your table, then you can apply constraint. The first one, that is the not null constraint. This constraint tells us that we cannot store a null value in a column. That is, if a column is specified as not null, then we will not be able to store null in this particular column anymore. Example, create table student. So we will be understanding this with the help of an example. As you can see, there is a table here, new admission, which is actually a table which consists the records of those potential students or candidates who are seeking admission into the university in the new session. So what I want is that serial number and candidate name as well as age, these three things should be not null. That is, we cannot leave them null or leave them blank for any of the tuples. Grade, of course, we can allow null to be inserted because the grade can be provided only after verification of documents. So grade field can be allowed to have null values, but we cannot allow serial number, candidate name and age fields to have any null values. So how are we going to proceed with this? So for when we are creating the table using the create table command, at that time we will be providing the constraints in this way. Not null. Then next is candidate name. Here also we will take varchar and not null. Same way age, again I'm going to take age as tiny int because age will not exceed 120, the value 127, and here also I'm providing not null. And finally we have grade. So for grade I don't need to provide any not null feature, so I'm just using char data type, and that too with only we can just make it as we can set char as 2 because in case someone has A1 as the grade, A2 as the grade, so for that purpose we are taking the maximum size of char as 2. As I had explained before that we should use the char data type specifically for those tables or for those fields in a table where the size of data is almost same for every tuple. In that case there would be minimum wastage. So we can do this, and let's now we'll not create it just now because there are a number of constraints which are to be applied on the table. So first we will understand all the types of constraints, and then we will create a table where we will try to fit in all the different types of constraints. So this is the not null constraint. So you can, so if a column is specified as not null, then we will not be able to store null in this particular column anymore. That is, storing null means leaving the value blank. For example, you can see over here ID is not null and name is also not null, and address has been left as it is. So we don't have not null for address over here. Next is the unique constraint. This constraint, when specified with a column, tells that all the values in the column must be unique. That is, no two tuples can have the same values for this particular column. And usually we can understand this by roll number field, Aadhaar number field, social security number field, all those fields which have unique values for all the tuples. That is, the values in any row of a column must not be repeated. For example, create table student, ID, not null and unique. Here you can see it is a merging of two different values. Now, although a combination of not null and unique we can also use the primary key constraint. But the thing is, there could only be one primary key in the table. Whereas not null plus unique can be any number, it can be applied on any number of fields in the table. We can apply these two constraints on any number of fields, whereas we can apply primary key only on one field in a table. So name, address, and so on. So here for this also we can apply the not null and unique constraint for serial number. Of course, we cannot apply unique constraint for candidate name because two or more candidates can have the same name. And age also we cannot apply unique because obviously if students are to there would be more than one student seeking admission in the same year and they have the same ages. So you have to also analyze the type of data which would be stored in the field and accordingly apply the constraint. Usually unique constraint is applied on fields which should not have repeated or duplicate values like roll number, Aadhaar number, social security number, which is usually a type of a unique code which is provided to citizens of many countries like US. And then we also have like driving license number. Then we also have a number which is printed on the voter ID card. So these all are numbers, and also we have the PAN card number. Any employee who is working in a company would have an employee ID. So this way these all are the types of fields which normally do not accept any duplicate value. So for any type of such type of fields where you don't want to repeat the value for any two tuples, you can use the not null plus unique constraint on that. Next is the primary key constraint. As I was telling you that the work of the primary key is the same as not null plus unique, but there could be only one primary key in a table, and usually these are the types of fields which are specified as primary key in a table because that is the best way of differentiating between the tuples. So a primary key is a field which uniquely identifies each row in a table. If a field in a table is a primary key, then the field will not be able to contain null values as well as duplicate values. This is a combination of not null and unique constraints. A table can have only one field as primary key. So you can see it over here, ID, int and primary key is assigned to the table. So in our previous example also, what we can do is maybe the college can ask for another value. For example, I will add another field over here. You can see over here we have the Aadhaar number field which has been added. Although serial number is fine, but there could be, if we create more than one tables, the serial number field, or if different tables are being created for different colleges which are affiliated to the university, in that case serial number would become very ambiguous because there would be more than one people who will be having the serial number 1. Later on when we need to combine all those tables together at the university level, then serial number field would not be suitable as the primary key. So the most suitable field over here could be Aadhaar number, because Aadhaar number could be set as the primary key, as in the country no two people have the same Aadhaar number. So we can write it like this: create table, new admission, first SNO serial number, and we are taking here small int. Or we can also reduce this, we can also take it as medium int, because number of students might increase if there are more number of admissions. So I'm taking here medium int. You can also take large int and big int over here, and I'm taking it as not null and unique, because of course I don't want serial number to be having duplicate values as well as null values. But because there could be only one primary key in a table, so I cannot set serial number as the primary key. Now the Aadhaar number. So Aadhaar number, I'm going to take it as big int, and I'm going to take it as primary key over here. And similarly, I can just write the three things, that is candidate name, age and grade, in the usual way. So this is how we use the primary key constraint. So students, in today's class, that should be enough. There are three more types of constraints which we would be studying in tomorrow's lecture. So please practice creating tables and applying constraints on them. So you can first understand all the types of constraints, and then at the end when you are designing the table, you can figure out which constraint you can apply on which field, and then finally we can create one SQL query for creating the table, and we can run it on MySQL.